Drinking buddies. I got a sample sent to me from Buffalo Trace, Thomas Handy. Haven't tried this year yet. Is it good? Let's find out.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies. So this is kind of a big moment for me because I've gotten some awesome things sent to me by small distillers, but you know they're up and coming. They're smaller. They're trying to get their name out there, so they're willing to send stuff to smaller YouTube channels. I've never gotten anything from a major distiller. Like Buffalo Trace doesn't have to send this out. Like this is gonna sell no matter what. You know, this is gonna hit shelves at MSRP, and you know, half the people who buy it will probably sell it for like $600 to $900 later, unfortunately. Anyway, tangent. Buffalo Trace sent me this. Sazerac sent me this. And I'm going to give you my honest feedback. Free warning before I even try it. I'm probably going to love it. And it is an absolute unicorn. So that's kind of where we're at right now. This one on the left, on your right here, is the 2023. And it is going to be 124.9 proof. Oh, wow. It smells phenomenal. It is oak and orange zest and honey, red licorice. Oh, I love it. I love it. Great nose. Sweet cherry, that honey thing comes through on the palate, brown sugar, bourbon vanilla, just absolutely like red licorice that kind of slowly turns into black licorice on the tip of my tongue. It's a beautiful whiskey. I mean, there's a reason that people hunt this thing. I mean, it really might be my favorite whiskey on earth. So the chances of me not liking this were about 1 in a million. No, I'd probably win the Powerball before I wouldn't like a Thomas Handy, to be honest. It's an absolutely beautiful pour. Let's compare it to last year's. I was able to get this last year. You guys all heard the story. I won a Van Winkle Lot B in a raffle. There was a guy there. He's like, I'm not much of a rye guy, but I won the Thomas Handy. And I'm like, we just became best friends. Lot B for Thomas Handy straight up. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, I don't even care that the Lot B is worth more secondary. I'm not into that. I just want the whiskey that I want. And I wanted this guy. It's a little lighter on the nose. Last year's is. There's a little bit more heat coming off of this one. And this last year's was 130.9, so higher proof. Interesting. They've both been sitting in the glass for about 15 minutes. Man. I'm not picking up any different notes than I got off of here, except for like a subtle herbal tea thing. There's more heat on the palate on this one. This one's quote unquote smoother because it drinks a little lower proof. Dare I say there might be more flavor on this one. I'm gonna have to go back to these a couple times. I'll probably fast forward through this or skip it out, or cut it out completely. But I want to give them both a couple more tastes. Anyway, drinking buddies, I'm a little bit at a loss for words right now because they are both straight up fabulous. I do kind of say that I think that there's a chance that Thomas Handy might actually be my favorite whiskey out of all whiskeys because I just feel like there are not very many ryes that can compare to this. I feel like it's night and day better than any other rye. Whereas something like WLW, there's things like Four Roses LE. There's things like King of Kentucky. There's things like George T. Stagg that can compare to WLW that can be in the same ballpark as WW and maybe even better. And here you have Thomas Handy running. Oh, it's running by itself. It has no running mates as far as the best rye in the world is concerned for me. The closest I can come, I think, is the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Rye, and it's a chasm between them. Oh, all right. After going back to both multiple times, after I swirled this guy around, this does have the better nose. Last year does have the better nose. At first it smelled hotter, but I mean, it is 6 proof points higher. But yeah, better nose, better palate and finish off of this year's, which kind of makes me sad because I only have this much of it. Maybe I'll get lucky this year and I'll be able to get one. Chances are probably that I will not get another bottle of this, maybe ever. It's that rare. So if you're watching this to see a review of a whiskey that you can actually walk into a store and buy, not really. However, I will say this. This is the quote-unquote cheapest of the Buffalo Trace Antiques collection. This is one that can be had on secondary for between $600 and $900. Meanwhile, all the rest cost dramatically more than that, unfortunately. So if you are willing to pay $600 for a bottle of whiskey, you could probably have this pretty easily. Me, I want to pay MSRP. And that's what makes these things so beautiful and why they're so sought after. Is that, I mean, this whiskey at a price point of $125 is kind of mind-blowing. I mean, actually, I paid less than that last year. That's $125 now this year. But these whiskeys are better than $500 bottles out there, you know, and that's why people pay so much for them on the secondary. Anyway, drinking buddies, I want to start by saying thank you to Sazerac for sending me this sample. But before I can even say that, I have to say, thank you guys. They wouldn't have sent me this if I didn't have 10,000 people who watch me regularly. They wouldn't send this to me if I didn't have, 75,000 different people who watch me every month. Different people. That's 75,000 unique views a month. And which, by the way, you guys need to get on the subscriber train. But anyway, you guys rock. I couldn't do this without you. I'm so glad to have all of you. I really appreciate everything you do for me. And just keep in mind that by liking this video, by subscribing to my channel, you're making stuff like this land in my lap. So I can tell you how good it is to tell you if it's worth chasing. And it also just makes one guy on the internet happy. You're making a guy happy here by liking this video and subscribing because you're making stuff like this happen. Cheers, drinking buddies. Thank you.